Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. Now, love them or hate them, if you do a search of the best-selling cars of 2023 in the UK, Europe, or the world, probably top of the search results is going to be a Tesla Model Y. These things are flying off the shelves, hugely popular. They have their absolute fanboys and they have people who can't stand them. The question is, why are they the best-selling car in the world, in Europe and the UK? Well, thanks to the very cool guys at Tesla Bournemouth, I've been living with the Tesla Model Y Performance behind me for the last week, and I think I've got the answer to that question. Now, straight from the get-go, I want to say something. I just love cars, and I try and bring a mix of cars to the channel, from internal combustion engine cars all the way to full battery electric and everything in between, including hybrids and hydrogen. And I have an appreciation for both, and I think I'm quite unique in that respect on YouTube. I don't just do EVs and expect an EV dedicated audience. And the challenge with that is whenever I do a review of an EV car, I get hate from petrol car owners, and whenever I do a petrol car, I get hate from EV car owners. But I still think it's possible to appreciate both. And I've run an EV now as a long-termer over a long period of time, and I've been driving EVs for probably 3 or 4 years. So it's not like I'm a newbie. I understand the challenges and the pros and cons of running an EV. I've never, however, run a Tesla for more than a day. I've driven the Model S, the Model X, and I had my mate's Model Y on the channel not that long ago. But the guys at Tesla Bournemouth reached out and said, look, would you like to live with a Tesla? Because whenever I drive a non-Tesla EV, I'm always surprised at how those manufacturers are still missing a trick. Tesla's not been around that long really in the grand scheme of making cars, yet they seem to do the EV thing way better than anybody else, especially when it comes to living with an EV on a daily basis. And that's what I want to try and get across in this video, and certainly the thing I found out about over the last week of running this car, and I've done a good amount of miles on it. I also want to say a few things and get, if you like, the bad news out the way. First up, I don't think it's a particularly pretty looking car. It's quite awkward from some angles, and I'm sure many of you will agree. It's not ugly, it's just awkward. Secondly, I know quite a few Tesla owners, and even the most ardent Tesla fans will say the build quality of Tesla isn't brilliant. There are better made EVs out there. But none of those owners really care, because they still love their Tesla, and they still, if you like, they're kind of evangelists for the brand, even though they admit the shortcomings of the car. And then the final thing is, it's very good at what it does, but it's not a particularly inspiring car to drive. It's not the kind of car you would save to a Sunday morning and go out for a spirited drive to dust off the cobwebs of a rubbish week at work. It's just very good at what it does. If you need to get from A to B and move stuff around and take the kids to school, and you want to do that under electric power with no stress and no range anxiety, where you can make most of the savings of things like off-peak electric tariffs and so on, this is the car for you. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. Now, first thing I love about this car is it's basically just an extension to an app on my smartphone. In fact, my smartphone is the key. So I've got a Tesla app on here, and as long as this is on my person in my pocket, I walk up to the car, it opens, the car is now ready to go, I put it in drive and off I go. It's that simple, and there's a huge amount of functionality in the car that I can control from my phone. So I really like that. But I want to talk a little bit about range and range anxiety. Often when I drive or test drive a car, I'll state how big the battery pack is, how many kilowatt hours. Really, to the normal person, the normal car, is that really a number that they can quantify? All you're really interested in is how far does it go on a full charge? And I tell you, one of these, Tesla Model Y Performance, on a 100% charge will do 300 miles. And that is an accurate 300 miles. The estimation of how far you're going to go is so good in one of these things. Now, it may dip a little bit. If you drive really hard, that number's going to reduce, just like it would do in a petrol or diesel car. If you drove hard, your fuel economy would go down and your range would go down. We're in the middle of summertime, so it's quite warm at the moment. In the middle of winter, it might reduce by some miles, but my understanding from talking to owners is Teslas are far less affected by that than some other EV manufacturers. And Tesla don't state a range in miles on the dashboard, it's just a percentage. I can check on my phone to see what the percentage is in miles, but it's not an important number because range anxiety doesn't exist when you own a Tesla. First up, 300 miles. I very, very rarely drive more than 300 miles in a day. So I wake up every morning, I've got 300 miles of charge in the car, I do what I need to do, I come home, I plug my car into my charger, I get an overnight cheap electric tariff to charge my car back up again, and the next morning I'm good to go with another 300 miles. If I need to go further than that stated charge, then the integration of the Tesla sat-nav and their own charge network is unsurpassed. Nobody does it better than Tesla. I don't need to have ZapMap and a whole bunch of other charge network apps on my phone. I've got the car, that's all I need. You plug a destination in, the car says, oh, you haven't got enough charge to get to that destination. Stop at this supercharger for 5 or 10 minutes and you'll have sufficient charge to get home. And when you charge, by the way, I plugged into a charger the other week, I was getting 600 miles an hour. What that means is, if I plug this car in for 1 hour, it would charge 600 miles of range. So in realistic terms, let's say you could get 200 miles in 20 minutes. Well, 20 minutes, I'm not being funny, but that's just long enough to basically go and have a wee, grab a coffee from Starbucks and be on your way. It's just so easy. We're gonna have a look at the supercharge network and I'll talk about that more in a moment, but that's the number one reason why, if you want to buy an EV and you're worried about charge anxiety, and by the way, this video is not sponsored by Tesla in any way, shape or form, the way Tesla do long journeys, sat-nav to charge network integration and reduce or remove that range anxiety is unsurpassed. Nobody does it better. It's that simple. Shall we talk practicality? Just get my app out. First up, massive amount of storage space at the front, the frunk or fruit. It's a good old space. Not quite as big as my Boxster, but pretty impressive. Now I think the Tesla Model 3 is a better looking car, but the advantage the Y has over the 3 is it's got a tailgate and a huge, huge boot. But it's even bigger than it looks, because if you lift this up, I mean, we talk about underfloor storage, there's a massive amount of space just there. I mean, it does make me question, where the hell have they put the motors? You know, it's a bit like my Porsche. You look at my Porsche, think there's an engine in there somewhere. There's absolutely loads of space, even for a tall, lanky git like me to sit in the back. Now, the next reason I think Model Ys are so popular is the buying experience. First up, Tesla do have a network of showrooms. I got this from Tesla in Bournemouth. Please head down there. This is their test vehicle. If you want to have a go, I'm sure Hayden will hook you up. But you can also go on their website and literally order one on the website, which is a little bit daunting, but there's not a great deal to configure, to be honest. And prices, well, prices have come down quite a lot. Now, Tesla have just slashed the price of their Model S and Model X because they form quite a small percentage of sales. They mainly sell 3s and Ys, and the new shape 3 has only been out a few days. Now, the base rear-wheel drive only Model Y starts from £45,000. The long range is £53,000, and that, which is the Tesla Model Y Performance, they start at £60,000. But there's not a great deal extra to add to one of those. First up, that one's in white, and you don't have to pay anything extra for white. If you want them in black, grey or blue, it's an extra £1,100, and if you want a red one, it's an extra £2,100. If you want a tow hitch, because a Model Y, by the way, I often get people asking about towing caravans and trailers with electric vehicles. A Tesla Model Y can tow up to 1,600 kilos. So if you want to spec a tow hitch when you buy one, that will cost you just over £1,000, £1,090 to be precise. And that's it. You could drive your car away at that price. So that car there, 60 grand. if you want some of the autonomous driving features. So if you want enhanced autopilot, this is where the price starts to go up a little bit. That's an extra £3,400. And if you want full self-driving mode, that is an extra £6,800. Now, personally, I wouldn't spec either of those. I'd save my money, I'd pay 60 grand, and that would be it. Thank you very much. But the next bit is the bit that will, if you go into any manufacturer and try and order a new car, in most cases you're looking at 12 to 18 months wait list. If you order a new Model Y today, you'll get it between the end of September and October. And I'm filming this at the beginning of September. So that's like 6 to maybe 8 weeks and you're gonna have your new car. I mean, nobody else is doing that. Now, admittedly, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of these already made, all in that spec, and you're just basically, they're picking one that is the same spec that you've bought. But the thing that's clever about Tesla is the additional things like the self-driving features and the autonomous driving. That's just an over-the-air upgrade. These all come with everything on them. You just activate that by an over-the-air upgrade, and that means that they can make them in bulk. That helps them drive the price to a more sustainable level. And I know £60,000 is a lot of money, but honestly, I wouldn't buy a performance either. I'd just go for the long range one. They're 53 grand. And if you didn't really need that kind of range, then 45 grand, you're in a new Model Y. And actually, if you're really smart and you don't want to buy a new one, have a look at the used car market, because you can pick up a 1 to 2 year old Model 3 for like 25 grand. Now, if you don't like touch screens, Teslas aren't for you, I'm afraid, because that's it. That's all you've got. A whopping great big touch screen. Everything is controlled by there. There are no physical buttons in this car at all, except for the buttons that operate the windows going up and down and a couple of little scroll wheels on the steering wheel. Everything else is touch screen. That said, it's very intuitive and very easy to navigate. I'm not going to do so much on the ins and outs of that, because honestly, you could play with that forever. It's got really cool things like an arcade, obviously important things like a fart machine. If you're, having a charge and you want a bit of romance, you can light a fire and chill out while the fire goes. Really useful, that. There's light shows and all kinds of things. However, there is one feature in this car that would be one of the reasons that I buy it. Now, often I'll joke about whether I can get 2 dogs in the boot. Oh, let me just turn the air conditioning off. Can I get 2 dogs in the boot? Well, yes, I can, but I can also put them in here. But on a hot day like today, it's currently 27 degrees outside. There's a big challenge with taking your dogs in the car in case you have to park up somewhere and leave them in the car. Not a problem in a Tesla, because Teslas have dog mode. So yesterday, I had to go up to Podium Place to film a podcast with Joe and Pat, and I took the dogs with me to try out dog mode. We are on our way to Podium Place in Newbury to record a couple of episodes of the Drive Talk podcast, and my lovely dog sitter Kate is on holiday this week, so I've got no dog care, so the pups are coming with me. But that's cool on a couple of fronts. One, I quite like bringing them in the car anyway, and the whole point about this Model Y actually is boot space wise, it's brilliant for the dogs in the boot, and much better than something like a Model 3, because you wouldn't be able to put dogs in the back of a Model 3. But I've got lots of podcast kit in the boot, so I've put them in the back of the car. They've got their harnesses on. And to be fair, when we go away, that's more commonly where they would be. The second reason it's quite cool is they can come on the podcast, but the third reason is it's going to be a really hot day today, and on the way home from recording the podcast, I need to pop into the shops to buy a couple of bits for tea, and I'm going to try out dog mode. So, the end of a long but brilliant day. We recorded 2 episodes of the Drive Talk podcast today. But interestingly enough, where we were filming in Podium Place, we were actually in the roastery where they roast all of their amazing coffee. And I hadn't realised we were going to be in there, and the girls really weren't allowed in there for obvious reasons. They're like a food prep area. So the girls actually stayed in the car during each podcast recording, which is sort of an hour or so. And we used dog mode, and therefore I've now used dog mode, and it is brilliant. So I'm on my way to the supermarket on the way home, And when we get there, I'm going to have to use dog mode again, and I'll show you how to put the car in dog mode and just what a cool feature it is. But I couldn't have done what I've just done today without dog mode, because the car was parked outside in the sun. It's now 30 degrees, and if you leave a dog in a car in 30-degree heat, you can literally get to a point where dogs die in hot cars. It's a serious problem. But in a Tesla, that's just not a problem because you use dog mode. So, I have arrived at Sainsbury's. I need to just pop in to get a couple of bits for tea, but it's still 27 degrees outside, and under no circumstances would I normally arrive at a supermarket with the dogs in the car and leave them, even if it was only for 5 minutes. I just wouldn't do it, because cars get so hot so quick, and dogs can overheat really quickly in cars. Still getting to grips with the gear selector on the stalk, and with the one pedal driving. Interestingly, the way you control the car is quite interesting. You don't really use the brake that much. You've got all the different parking cameras, so we're all good there. Wait till it goes beep beep beep, and then just push the stalk. Now you can only put the car in dog mode when you're in park, basically. So it's in the air conditioning controls, and you've got dog mode. It's just here, dog mode, and basically it will be dog mode enabled. So when I leave the car, you will see on the screen a little thing that just says, the car's set to 19 degrees. I'm all right. You're going to be okay, aren't you? Going to look after the car? Yeah? You're nice and cool? Right, so I'm going to pop in, get a few bits of shopping, and I'll see you shortly. You'll see the screen appear with dog mode. I've got to get something out of the boot first, though. See, I told you, driver will be back soon. Don't worry. Here you go. How's that, girls? You're still cool. You're shaking. What are you shaking for? You're a bit cold. It's probably a bit cold for them, to be fair. Right, and here you go. Super easy. Dog mode. Now, the other cool thing is, while I was in the supermarket, on my app, I can connect to the car and watch live video footage from a little camera that's just there, so I can check that they're okay. And I just think, for me, that's such a great feature. This car is full of some technology that has no purpose whatsoever other than to make you smile. The fire you can put on the screen, the fart machine, the light show, all of these things are really useless bits of tech that are just there for a bit of fun. Dog mode, however, dog mode is just genius. As a dog owner, especially in the summertime, it's a feature that would make me buy this car. Simple as. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Genius. Well done, Tesla. Now, I stated at the beginning of the video that this car was a bit, I don't know, uninspiring to drive, but what if you want to push on? I mean, we all know how fast they are in a straight line. We all know that 0 to 60 times of Teslas are ridiculous, or ludicrous even. What are they like to drive? Well, on my way home yesterday, I ended up going up the Petrol Ped hill climb, and I thought I'd have a bit of a play. Let's see how I got on. Now, the big question is, Teslas are known for going very fast in a straight line. The 0 to 60 time of this Model Y performance is 3.5 seconds, which is so quick it actually makes you feel ill. But what are they like when you have to go around corners? Well, here's the Petrol Ped hill climb. I feel we might be catching up the cars in front, because, do you know what? They go around corners really well. Like, really well. Very low centre of gravity. All I would say is, they go around corners well, and they handle until they don't. When an EV lets go, whether that's understeer or oversteer, it lets go in a spectacular way, and that's normally because the speed you're going. So they do go around corners nicely, and they've got to say, actually, in terms of just sporty driving, the performance for me is actually more noticeable on the mid-range acceleration. It's brilliant for overtaking, and when you get to the apex of a corner, you put your foot down and you really got that instant torque, just gives you that pull out the corner. But they are better around a corner and on the twisties than you'd think. Teslas aren't just a one-trick pony. They're not just about going fast in a straight line. So far it's ticking a lot of boxes. No range anxiety, easy to buy. If I wanted to change my mind and spec something like autopilot 6 months down the line, I can just buy it and it will be over the air upgraded to the car. I've got a huge amount of tech on the car. It's comfortable, it's fast, it does its job. The last bit I just want to try and talk about and demonstrate is this amazing charge network. So I need to take this car back to Bournemouth Tesla, sadly, this afternoon. So on my way, I thought we'd stop off at a charge station on the way and just talk about the pros and cons of Tesla charging. And then we'll drop the car back off at Tesla Bournemouth. Okay, now I'm going to navigate to Tesla Centre Bournemouth. So I've got 30% battery charge. And interestingly, it's pointing me to the supercharger at Portsmouth that I thought I might stop at. So I'm going to get to the supercharger at Portsmouth with 23% of battery left. And then I'm going to charge there for about 15 minutes. I don't even think I'll need that long. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Right, let's go. Now you may well be thinking, well, you just said you'd wake up in the morning and have 100% battery charge and you don't have to go to superchargers. Well, yeah, that is the case, but I on purpose didn't charge the car up last night because I hoped it would do that. I hoped it would go, oh, you haven't got enough charge. 30% charge, I'm pretty sure I could get to Bournemouth actually, but it's playing safe. So I've got 30% battery at the moment. I will get to the supercharged network with 23% battery. Now this is the other genius thing that Tesla do to alleviate range anxiety, is it tells you what the battery state's going to be like when you get to your destination. So if I wasn't happy with that, if I wanted to run within that 20-80% rule that we often try and do, maybe I would charge a little bit more or whatever. I'd adjust my journey profile for that. So I really like that. The other thing is, because I'm using the native sat-nav, now this is the case for other EV manufacturers as well. If you use their native sat-nav and you plug in a charge destination, a lot of them will precondition the battery so that when you get there, especially if you're using DC rapid charging, the batteries are at the optimum temperature to get the fastest charge into them possible. And that's exactly what this car is doing. It says at the top, preconditioning batteries for fast charging. But you only get that if you use the native sat-nav. So if you're going to use something like ZapMap and Waze, then you miss out on that functionality, and that means that your rapid charging isn't as optimized as it could be. Now I'm coming off at the next junction. I'm only 1.8 miles away. Now my anxiety levels are building because in the past when I've used public charging infrastructure, maybe there's a car plugged in already, or it's not working, I can't find it. I don't have any of that worry in this car because there's the charger, it's just over that side of the road there, and I can see that there are 8 stalls available at this supercharger and 4 of them are currently available, and it's going to charge me at 150 kilowatts, and even better than that, nearby amenities, there's a toilet if I need one, and if there were coffee shops or whatever, that would show there as well. It's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Zero range anxiety in this car. Zero. There you go. 4 available. That's exactly what it said. Mega. Right, let's book into this one, I reckon. Right, that's that. Put it in park. I go into the charging menu like that. Current charge, open charge port. Charge port's open. And I'm going to put some juice in the car. And as if by magic, I should be charging. What am I charging at? Currently it's ramping up. 11 kilowatts, 14. Zooming up. play some games, I guess, couldn't I? Sudoku, Skyforce, beach buggy racing. Oh yeah. Don't use the gear stick or accelerator pedal while driving. Try using steering wheel and brake to play. Ooh. Oh, I see. Oh, look at that! Oh, I'll get the back end out. Look. Drift. Oh no, crash. Oh, no. Now then, I've been plugged in for less than 10 minutes. I've just done a couple of phone calls. Now, as it stands now, although it's actually telling me I've got 5 minutes remaining to continue the trip, I'm at 31% charge. And if I look down here, it says I'll get to Tesla Centre Bournemouth with 12%, which is fine. It's probably just being on the safe side. So I'm actually going to unplug and get on my way because I'm a bit behind schedule of where I want to be today. It's 48 miles to get to Tesla Bournemouth. So yeah, I'm going to get on my way. Easy peasy. I can see why people buy them. I can see why they're just, it's so easy. Now don't get me wrong, just in defense of other charge network providers and other electric vehicles, I've had easy charges on those as well. But the speed and convenience is just, it's just so easy. I didn't have to present a charge card, I didn't have to have a specific app on my phone. I just plug the car in and it does Tesla does everything for you. It's just super easy. So with 20 minutes to go, what are my final impressions of the Tesla Model Y? Well, I've done over 500 miles in this car in the last week, and they've been the most stressless, worry-free 500 miles I've ever driven in an electric car. It really has been a pleasure. So easy to live with, so easy to integrate into your life. I don't think there's that level of planning and worry whenever you do a longer trip that you kind of end up having to do with other electric cars, and I kind of get it. I now totally get why anybody you speak to who owns a Tesla raves about them. And they don't necessarily rave about the car. This car is by no means perfect. Don't get me wrong, in a straight line it's fast. But, you know, it's not the most inspiring thing to drive, it's not the prettiest thing to look at. But as a thing to do its job, by God, it's good. Like, really, really good. And, you know, the 3 and the S and the X, they'll all be just as good. They'll all do the same thing. So yeah, there's my take on it. That's why there's such a well-regarded car. That's why they sell so many. And that's why I still don't understand how all the other manufacturers just... Do the people who design those cars, have they never been in a Tesla? Have they never seen the integration of the sat-nav with the charge network? And I know Tesla did a huge step by building out their own charge network. They invested billions doing that. But it bears fruit. It makes the car so easy to live with. Now I know we're going to see that network opened up to non-Tesla vehicles. But the challenge I still have, and every launch I go to of a new electric car when I've got some designer from the manufacturer, every single time I say, does your sat-nav integrate with the charge network as well as Tesla does? And the answer's always no. I mean, they're getting there, but they've got miles to go. And that, for me, it's a simple fix. Well, a simple theory, a very difficult practice. Sort that out. Sort that. The fact I know I'm going to get to the destination with that charge state. The fact I know if I can't, it's going to be dead easy for me to get that charge state. That's all you need. That's all you need. Range anxiety is a thing of the past. But if you enjoyed that, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film, guys. You take care. Drive safe.